This is a work of fiction. All characters and events depicted are entirely fictional. This comic contains graphic violence, mature themes, and strong language. Viewer discretion is advised.
May 1965. Leningrad. The sky over the Neva River is covered with low, leaden clouds. A typical Leningrad May is when the sun seems to be there, but the wind from the bay reminds you who is the boss here. The corridors smell of bleach and cheap soap. Your first cry is drowned out by the horn of a cargo ship passing along the Bolshaya Neva. The nurse unwraps the package and says, "Bogatyr, 4 kilograms." At this time, your father is standing outside the windows. Your family, father, Pavel Sergeyevich, an engineer at the Lomo defense plant. Tall, dry, with a short crew cut of graying hair. He was conscripted into the border troops in the Far East and brought back the habit of getting up at 5 in the morning and never raising his voice. His motto, "It's not words that define a man, but silence after an act." He wasn't babbling with you. Instead of bedtime stories, he taught you how to tie C-knots and disassemble your grandfather's old transistor. Mother, Elena Viktorovna, teacher of Russian language and literature. A third-generation intellectual whose family survived the blockade in an apartment on Moika. You got that Leningrad look from her, calm and a little detached, even when the world is collapsing around you. She taught you to read before you went to kindergarten. Her lesson, power without mind is just a pile of iron. Always know what you're raising your hand for. You lived in a huge communal apartment for 7 families. Your world is an endless corridor, where it smelled of fried fish, old books, and a neighbor's white marble. Your corner, a screen behind which stood your bed and a shelf with books. To
Два
captains,
капитана,
the tale of a
повесть
real
о
man
настоящем
and a battered
человеке
sambo
и потрепанный
textbook.
учебник по самбо.
You were sent to a kindergarten where there were children like you. The teachers immediately noticed a keen sense of justice in you. There was Vanka, 5 years old, in your group. He was very weak, and Lek, 5 years old, who was twice his size, constantly ran over him. You saw him trying to take the toy away from Vanya, and you immediately intervened. Lek, when he saw you, he immediately laughed, but you took advantage of this and knocked him to the floor and took the toy and gave it to Vanya. The teacher, Maria Ivanovna, told your parents everything. Your father laughed and patted you on the shoulder. You're 5 years old. Winter. Your father leads you by the hand across the ice of the Neva River. The wind is so strong that it literally blows you away, but your father's hand is like an iron handrail. Dad, I'm cold, you whimper. The father stops, kneels in front of you.
Ready to
His
go,
eyes are the
little
color
one?
of the Neva River.
Yes,
Cold is just
it's
a
so
feeling.
cold.
Leshka.
Stay
He's in
close.
my head.
We'll
If you
walk
let him
together.
win, you'll freeze.
Okay.
If you say,
I like
I'm
holding
stronger,
your hand.
he'll back off.
Me too, buddy.
You clench your teeth,
Let's
wipe
go.
your snot with a mitten, and move on.
Go, go,
School
go.
note 123.
We're
A typical
almost there.
building made of gray brick.
Hurry up.
You weren't a bully, but you were respected in class. You never beat the weak, but protected them. You didn't lag behind in your studies either. As the teachers used to say, he's smart but lazy. Sports. Sambo 3 times a week. Location. Basement on Petrogradskaya. The Dynamo Sambo section was located in the basement of an old apartment building. To get inside, you had to go down a steep iron staircase covered with eternal Leningrad frost. The smell. As soon as the heavy leatherette-covered door opened, a thick, heavy smell hit the nose. A mixture of old sweat, dusty wrestling mats, laundry soap from the showers, and gun grease. There was a shooting range nearby. Interior. The walls, painted with official blue paint, are peeling. On the walls there are portraits of the founders, Kharlampy and Oskepkov. Instead of modern exercise machines, there are rusty kettlebells, old horizontal bars, and a rope hanging from a high ceiling. Viktor Mikhailovich is a man with a face carved out of a rock. Former frontline soldier, intelligence officer. One of his ears was broken and resembled a dumpling, a professional wrestler's mark. He never yelled. He spoke in a low, slightly hoarse voice that covered any noise. When he entered the hall, it was so quiet that you could hear the sand rustling in the hourglass on his desk. His philosophy: Sambo is not about how to break an arm. It's about not letting yourself get broken. You are rivals on the mat. There are brothers outside the door. Whoever betrays a friend will not step on the carpet again. Self-insurance insurance. Thousands of
Давай
falls.
еще.
Forward,
Не
backward, over your
торопись.
shoulder. Mikhailov said, the earth is always harder than your pride. Make friends with her. Fist push-ups on a concrete floor. You hated it, but you could see your arms getting stringy and your grip dead. Jacket Sambovka. Your first uniform. Thick, blue, made of coarse cotton. She rubbed her neck until it bled, but when you tightened the belt, you felt like you were wearing armor. Each wrestler has his own kingla technique that works on reflexes. It was a windmill for you.
Listen,
one day, a new guy
the
came
real
to the section,
power
a
isn't
guy
just
from a
in the
wealthy
moves.
family in
It's
an
in our
imported
unity.
tracksuit.
Let's
He
train.
started bullying the guys, behaving impudently. Macaulay came up, took him by the scruff of the neck with one hand and just pushed him out the door. And then he turned to you. You won technically, Lyosha. But remember, there are no rules in real combat where you would have destroyed him. But here we learn how to control our rage. A strong person is someone who can hold back a blow when he really wants to hit. In sparring, you threw him hard, and he got angry and tried to hit you after the whistle blew. This happened in November 1980. Leningrad stood gray, soaked by the endless rain and snow. You were 13. You were just returning from an evening workout, and there was a sweat-soaked Sambo jacket in your bag, and there was a pleasant tiredness in your muscles. You took a shortcut through the passageways, a chain of narrow courtyards wells. Lanterns burned through one, dimly illuminating the peeling walls and rusty drain pipes. A mess of ice and autumn mud squelched underfoot. There were 3 people standing in the archway leading to your house. The seniors. About 16 or 17 years old. In the 80s, they were called cormorants with point caps, wide trousers, from under which the toes of heavy boots could be seen. They smelled of cheap Cosmo cigarettes and that special evil excitement that seeks a victim. Hey, sportsman, slow down. The voice of the leader, a guy with a scar above his eyebrow, echoed off the stone arches of the arch. Where are we going? Show me the bag. I have to go home, you said, trying to keep your voice steady. You'll be home in time. Give me 3 rubles for a communal room. Or are the sneakers imported in the bag? Take off your jacket, I'll try it on. One of them, the lanky one, went behind your back. The leader took a step forward, closing the distance. You remembered Mikulich's words. If a fight is inevitable, strike first. Don't wait to be knocked down. The leader pushed you in the shoulder, trying to knock you down. At that moment, the fear was suddenly replaced by icy clarity. The body itself remembered thousands of repetitions in the basement hall. You've made your crown mill. The others, seeing that you had abandoned the leader, retreated. You asked the question, do you have any questions? You picked up your bag. My hands were shaking, it was the adrenaline rush. You came home through the back door. I ran into my father in the hallway. He looked closely at your torn jacket and split lip. What's in the arch? What is it? He asked shortly. 3. They asked for a jacket, you replied, wiping away the blood. So what? I kept my jacket. Your father paused, then put his heavy hand on your shoulder. There was no pity in his eyes, just a stingy male approval. Go wash up. Tell your mom that you got caught in training. And, Leshka, well done. What has changed inside? That night, you stopped being just a boy who goes to the gym. You realize that your skills are not for medals, but for life. You've tasted victory over your fear. November 1983. Sleep melts on the granite steps of the train station. There are hundreds of conscripts around. Someone is crying, someone is singing to the guitar, someone is already drunk from the farewell moonshine. You're standing on the sidelines. My father is next to me in a greatcoat. He doesn't hug you. He's just adjusting the collar of your jacket. It's going to be hard in school, Lek. They will break it. Don't let them break your essence. And remember, in the special forces, and you have already been selected by the buyers from the GRU, the winner is not the one who weighs more, but the one who endures longer. He hands you his old commander's watch. Go ahead. An order is an order. After cold Leningrad, you go to hell. The Churchik Special Forces Training School of the GRU is a place where fat was melted out of people, leaving only veins and instincts. Sergeant nicknamed Bees. An Afghan veteran with empty eyes and a scar across his forearm. His favorite phrase is, a Special Forces soldier runs as long as he needs to, and then for as long as he needs to, and then he goes into battle. Your Sambo has been tested for lice here. Once, in a hand-to-hand combat class, the demon put you up against a healthy guy from Siberia who was 15 kilos heavier. Well, Leningrad Sambo wrestler, show us the sport. The sergeant grinned. The Siberian rushed at you like a tank. In the gym, you would have caught him on a beautiful throw. But there are rocks and thorns under your feet. You're wearing full gear, and your head is buzzing from lack of sleep. 1. You missed the first punch to the jaw. A flash in his eyes, the taste of blood. 2. But at that moment, the very Leningrad granite turned on. You dived under the second serve, grabbed him not by his jacket, it wasn't there, but by his neck and arm. 3. A short decoy, and you slammed it into the dry Uzbek soil. And he didn't let go. You immediately switched to suffocating, looking into the
Что здесь
sergeant's eyes.
произошло?
The imp came up
Докладывай.
and stopped the
Товарищ
fight with a
капитан,
short
мы
kick
не
to your shoulder.
справились,
There is a
виноват.
Не
technique.
справились, ты
Anger is
ранен,
not
это
enough.
провал.
Remember, he'll have a
Простите,
knife or a
товарищ
machine gun on
капитан,
the other
это
side.
моя вина.
Don't play with
Вина?
him.
Ты
Destroy
ответишь
it.
за это.
Your most vivid memory from school is a 30-kilometer cross-country march. Full equipment, automatic rifle, duffel bag with stones for weight. At the 20th kilometer, your vision
You
went
won't
dark.
escape!
The legs became someone else's. You saw the
Stop
guys
right
start to
there!
fall. Your actions.
I
You
said
remembered the
stop!
Leningrad wind from the Gulf. Remember
Tell
your
me
father.
everything!
You started counting the steps. There are 4 steps for each breath. Inhale a step, inhale a step. You've become a machine. You didn't just get there, you dragged the weakest guy from your squad on a machine gun. December 1983. You're standing on the parade ground. You're not the same boy from the communal apartment anymore. His face was weathered, his cheekbones sharpened, and his hands were like a vice. You say the words of the oath. To be devoted to your people, your Soviet homeland, until your last breath. You believed in every word. You didn't know yet that in a year you will be jumping from a chopper into the fiery cauldron of Kutar province. You're coming out of the belly of an Il-76 at Bagram airfield. The first breath and the lungs burn with hot sand mixed with the smell of kerosene. This is the Afghan, the wind that will be your companion for the next 2 years. You are assigned to the 15th Separate Crew Special Forces Brigade. The old-timers' grandfathers look at you, the replenishment, with a prickly squint. Well, Street. Petersburg. The sergeant with the call sign granite spits through his teeth. The only thing that will help your Sambo here is to fall quickly when the mine is whistling. Check the BC. We're going to the implementation tomorrow. Task: to intercept a caravan with weapons coming from Pakistan. You're going as part of a group. You're wearing a slide, a breastplate bra homemade, made from 2 duffel bags, an AK-74 assault rifle with a tourniquet wrapped around the butt, and 40 kilograms of cargo. Mountains do not forgive unnecessary sounds. Every step is through I can't. Your Leningrad childhood and training in Churchill seem like a dream. Here, only the wheezing in his lungs and the weight of grenades in his pockets are real. You go and count. 1, 2. 1, 2. Remembering his father. The one who endures the longest wins. Your legs are covered in blood, but you don't even have the right to lose your breath. If you leave me alone, you're dead. If you make a noise, the whole group is dead. You have taken up a position in the rock above the trail. I had to wait 8 hours. The sun is so hot that the skin on my nose is peeling off in patches. You can't drink, the flask is empty, and every sip makes you weak. And now there's movement. First, the smell. Pack animals, unwashed bodies, cheap tobacco. Then the shadows. The Dutchmans
They're
are
getting
walking
closer.
confidently.
Hold
They have British
steady.
drills and Chinese submachine
Ready
guns.
on your mark.
Grenade gives a cutoff with a short gesture.
On my
your actions.
signal.
You smoothly
Aim for
release
the
the fuse.
lead.
My heart freezes. In the crosshair is a
Now.
bearded man in a turban. He whispers something to his partner. Fire. The radio commands. The world is exploding. The roar covers everything. You work in short bursts. Tracers trace the sky with red threads. You don't feel fear, just wild, ringing concentration. You see your object falling like a sack. The first murder. There's a flash in my head. These aren't masks. This is life. A group of spirits is trying to enter the flank. You find yourself cut off from your own people behind a cliff ledge. One spirit jumps on top of you, knocking the machine gun out of your hands. That's where your Sambo knowledge came in handy. You threw him on the rocks and took his knife and killed the spirit. You drink this water, and it tastes better to you than the most expensive wine. You look at your palms. You just killed a man. But inside there is a strange emptiness and cold granite. You've realized that war is not a feat, it's hard, dirty, and very lonely work. That night, lying on the rocks under the huge Afghan stars, for the first time in a long time you don't think about home. You're thinking about how to get back on the trail tomorrow and come back alive. You're 19 years old, but you look over 40. You're riding on a demob train. You're wearing an airborne forces parade, 2 red stars and a medal for bravery on your chest. But you don't feel like a hero. You feel like an old man in the body of a 20-year-old guy. Birch trees flash by the window, and you can still see the yellow rocks of the Hindu Kush. You close your eyes, and you don't hear the sound of the wheels, but the popping of the turntable blades. In your duffel bag are a couple of cans of scarce stew, an Afghan Panama hat, and the same dried maple leaf that your mother sent you in a letter. The city greeted you with the usual fine rain and leaden sky. There is a fuss on the platform. People are running about their business. They are discussing the new Secretary General Gorbachev, prohibition and queues for sugar. Your father was waiting for you at the pillar. He's aged. Her hair turned completely white, and her back was slightly bent. You came up and stood at attention. The senior sergeant of the reserve guard has arrived. The voice trembled treacherously. Your father hugged you in silence. You could feel his shoulders shaking. Alive, Leshka. Alive. The rest is dust. It's the same at home. The same smell of old books and fried potatoes. But you can't sleep on a soft bed. Your back is used to rocks and a sleeping bag. You wake up at 3 in the morning from any rustle in the hallway. Your hand automatically searches under your pillow for a machine gun that is no longer there. You're going out into the city in a week. You go to your old dynamo section. Everything is different there. Mikolit is gone, and the room is packed with new guys. They don't teach will, they teach how to knock out with one blow. In the locker room you meet Vitka Bor. He now drives a brand new Lada, wears a leather jacket and a gold seal. He offers you to join the fraternity, but you refused. He laughed at you. October 1985. You're sitting in the personnel department of the police department at Verlitiny Street. In front of you sits a lieutenant colonel, also an Afghan. He looks at your awards, then at your sambo wrestler's hands. We are forming a special forces unit. It's a dirty job. The racket is raising its head, and the shooting is starting in the streets. There is little money, and there are many dangers. Come to us, Lyosha. We need those who won't flinch when the order comes. You take a pen and sign the report. 1988. The birth of the fist. You are one of the first. The Leningrad OMON took only the best. Paratroopers, Marines, and Special Forces. Equipment. You were given a gray spotted uniform, a doll, heavy boots, and a PR-73, a rubber stick popularly called an argument. Your role. You are the backbone. You stand with the calmness of a man who has seen Panjshir. Your gaze cools down the hottest Democrats. 1989 and 1990 years. Leningrad is seething. Thousands of people come out to Dvortsovaya Street and Street Isaacs. They shout, "Down with the CPSU." Gorbachev is a talker. Your post. You're standing in a cordon. Your orders are to prevent riots, conflict. Intellectuals with glasses spit on your boots and shout, "Fascists." Guards. You're silent. Are you offended? No, you're bitter. You understand that these people want change, but you also know that when the chaos begins, they will be the first to run to call you. Guz Cheremuka. You are starting to use special equipment for the first time. The smell of this bird cherry is forever mixed in your memory with the smell of spring Leningrad. The end of 1990. Leningrad is hungry. Your wife you just got married at that time is standing in line for the blue chickens for 3 hours. Absurd. You are an officer of an elite squad. You patrol the city. You guard food warehouses that are being plundered from above. And at home you have an empty refrigerator. January 1991. Gorbachev is trying to keep the Union by force. OMON is becoming the main tool. Although you serve in Leningrad, the spirit of unity in the riot police was enormous. You watch the news from Lithuania and Latvia and understand. They make us extreme. Leningrad. August. The proletarian dictatorship square is packed with people. Your squad has been alerted. You have full ammunition. Waiting. You are waiting for the order to storm the Mariinsky Palace, where Sobchak is holed up. Solution. The order does not arrive. The OMON commanders in St. Petersburg understand that if we start shooting, the city will drown in blood. Gorbachev's final. When the coup failed, you realized that Gorbachev was a political corpse. You saw how people were dumping the monument to Dzerzhinsky in Moscow, and you knew that the old service was over. Survival begins. Yeltsin lets go of prices. Money turns into candy wrappers overnight. Your life. Your salary as a riot police captain now costs 3 bottles of vodka or a pack of cigarettes. You come home, and your wife is crying because there is not enough for baby food. Streets of St. Petersburg. The city is turning into one big market. Nevsky sells everything from German porn cassettes to live grenades. The first encounter. You are thrown into the dispersal of hunger riots and spontaneous markets. You see old ladies who sell their medals to buy bread. You have to chase them away. At this moment, your commando heart is covered with a second layer of granite. You're starting to hate reformers in clean suits. The year is 1993, the conflict between Yeltsin and Parliament. Your squad is being transferred to Moscow. Your post. You're standing in a cordon outside the White House. There's chaos all around. Barkashovцы, Cossacks, Cossacks, ordinary onlookers. Stir. You can see how tanks are hitting the windows of the parliament. Bottom line. You return to St. Petersburg, and for a long time you cannot wash off this smell. You understand. Yeltsin is ready to shoot tanks at his people for the sake of power. For you, he is no longer a democrat, he is a king who seized the throne in blood. Street. Petersburg officially becomes Bandit Petersburg. The bandits took Yeltsin's take as much sovereignty as you swallow literally. Everyday life of riot police. You live in buses. Trips to Strelka 3 times a night. You can see how Tambov and Malishevsky divide the city. Episode. You take on a gang in a restaurant. You put your muzzle on the floor of authority, and an hour later a big boss calls you from above and orders you to apologize and let go. Your choice. You're not apologizing. You just walk out of the office and slam the door. You understand that power and crime are now one. Yeltsin decided to restore order. Peter's riot police are sent to the consolidated squad. The hell of Grozny. This is not Afghanistan. There was an ideology in Afghanistan. There's a meat grinder here. You're standing at roadblocks, being sold by your own generals. You see how Chechens drive brand new UAZ trucks that the Ministry of Defense sold them a week before. Kosovyurt. When Yeltsin signed the peace in 1996, you felt spat on. You understand that thousands of boys died so that the politicians in the Kremlin could redistribute the oil rigs. The economy is collapsing completely. You already have 2 children. Salaries are not paid for 6 months. Your riot police. Fermentation begins in the squad. The guys go to guard the oligarchs. They're offering you 1-2. You look at your scars at the Barrett, and you're staying. You patrol the city knowing that there is no money for oil at home. This is the time of the blackest cynicism. Yeltsin is conducting an orchestra on TV and falling off bridges, while you're kicking down doors in dens. You see the decay of your country. December 31st, 1999. You're at the base. Yeltsin is on TV. His famous, "I'm leaving." You're looking at that swollen face. You don't have anger, just endless emptiness. He leaves, leaving behind the ruins of a great country, thousands of graves, and a scorched generation. When Putin, your countryman, which was important for the street. Petersburg cops at the time came to the Kremlin. The Tambovskys were still driving in the city. But the air has changed your feelings. Bandits used to enter police departments by opening the door with their foot. They were quieter now. Have you noticed that there are fewer calls from above demanding to let the boys go? 5:40 a.m. OMON base. You're standing in front of a line of guys in a sphere and 5th grade bulletproof vests. On the wall is a schematic map of a country house in an elite village near Sestroretsk. The facility is reinforced, you say in a cold, dry voice. Security at 6 people, former long-term workers. They are armed with a short-barreled rifle, and sagas are possible. Our task is to enter through the 2nd floor and the central door at the same time. Don't spare any faces, but work cleanly. The leader is in the office on the 2nd floor. You know that the leader is Vidka. You've seen his photo in operational development. He's got fat, got a second chin, and expensive glasses, but he's still the same bore. 6:15. The silence of the elite village is shattered by a roar. A heavy tiger demolishes a wrought iron gate. At the same time, your high-rises fly into the windows of the 2nd floor, knocking out the glass with stun grenades. We are working. Everybody down. Hands behind your head. You go up to the 2nd floor. The office door was knocked out by a ricochet charge. There is chaos inside. An overturned table made of stained oak, scattered papers. Vidka is lying on the floor. The glasses came off. You fasten the steel bracelets on his wrists. Well, Lek. He squeezes out through his teeth. 1. Are you satisfied? You pack me up for pennies. I'm not going to pack you, Vitya. You pick him up by the scruff of his neck like a bag of bones. I'll take out the trash. The city will become cleaner. 2008. You are 43 years old. Russia has changed. There are no organized criminal groups and other bandit organizations. You are a living legend of the squad. You've been through Afghanistan, both Chechens, the shooting of the White House, and hundreds of detentions in the alleys of St. Petersburg. You're looking at the young sergeants who joined the OMON in 2005. They're clean, well-fed, and they don't know what it's like to share one can of stewed meat with 5 people under fire or receive a salary with a gazelle of pasta. You are their grandfather, a man who saw how this country was dying and how it was getting back on its feet, gritting its teeth. Your status. You're preparing to retire or move to a senior position at headquarters. You know, the 90s are over. Ahead are the well-fed tents. This is the end of your active combat story. You went from a Leningrad schoolboy to a lieutenant colonel who closed the era of lawlessness with his own hands.